Let's begin by analyzing one of the most common forms of online content, blog articles. Now we have a blog article here. It's done some things right, it's done a lot of things wrong, but let's use this one as an example. Let's see how we can make this blog article much more effective. So we're going to use this as an example, and then I'm going to expand on the actual concepts and the techniques as we go through the article and improve it. First of all, let's analyze the headline. 7 surprising ways to become a better runner. Now, he hasn't done too bad. Surprising is a good adjective to use. But there's something missing in this headline. There's no desire. He's not capturing the target audience's dreams. So how can we do this? Perhaps he can put, instead of 7 surprising ways to become a better runner, 7 surprising ways to help you win that marathon. That's what people want. If your target audience is a marathon runner, for example, or marathon runners, if they are triathletes, 7 surprising ways to become a champion triathlete. Focus on their goal. Focus on their dream. Because no one really wants to become a better runner. Their dream is to become, if they're just simply running for health, their dream is to be healthier. 7 surprising ways to beat that minute mile or something like that, that 4-minute mile. I'm not an expert on running, but a little bit of research would reveal that there are certain terms that you can use to spruce this up. So that would be my first point of advice. Or first point in educating yourself how to write better blog articles. Make the title as enticing as possible and focus on the target audience's dream. So to keep things general, I've used a very common technique that you can use. You compare, instead of saying run better, run like Usain Bolt. Use a simile. Similes are more powerful than run better or be a better runner. Make it real. This man has an image that people can form in their minds, and that's more powerful than simply a better runner. It's a bit too generic. So let's continue. Now, naturally, when you change the headline like this, you will need to change the introductory text, the introductory paragraph. So instead of saying you don't have to go great lengths to be a better runner, you would link that to Usain Bolt and use the resources that you already have available. And by that I mean you've already introduced an interesting topic in your headline. You would naturally expand on that and maybe make a joke. Now, look, no one's expecting you to run 100 meters under 10 seconds, but there are certain tricks that you can learn from Usain Bolt that would make you a better runner. And that is when you introduce the generic terminology, when you want to bring it back to the pieces of advice that you have for people. The 7 surprising ways to run like Usain Bolt. Now let's move on to the actual subsections. Go fishy. Now, you really need your subheadlines to be quite specific and understandable. Go fishy. Am I getting a fishing rod or something and going to the lake? I don't know. It's you would rename it. I understand what he's doing. He's trying to be creative and humorous. I just think you need to be a bit more specific and keep it within the realms of understanding. Especially with the first sub-headline item, with the number 1, essentially. I mean, you would also put number 1, go fishy, number 2, go online. You would, if you are going to introduce a list-style blog article, you would use a numbered list. Now, let's see if we can spruce up these headlines. I'm not going to read through the entire article, but we will spruce up each of these headlines because they are very important. So as you can see, I've renamed all of these subtitles. I believe these are much more not only specific and representative of the paragraphs in which they begin, which they describe, but I've also changed the formatting. You notice that they are bold, and you would naturally also put in, as I was saying, you would number them. Now, I'm not going to do that for all of them, but you guys get the idea. Speaking generally about the article, you don't want to make comments like this. No, don't play online games. Silly. I would refrain. There's a fine line between being funny and being offensive. Now, I personally wouldn't be offended reading this, but that's not really the point. The point is that some people will be offended reading this, and therefore you should, as a professional, you would not use this sort of language. Always be respectful, helpful, and humorous and entertaining, not condescending. So, one thing that I do recommend is that you can use humor in your introductory paragraph. And in your paragraphs here, but because the heading and the subheadings, the subtitles are so important, I would just make them specific, maybe a little bit of wordplay here and there. But speaking generally, you want them to be specific, understandable. Now, what are some other ways that we can improve this article? Well, we could add some links. There are no links anywhere here, only in the call to action, which we will get to later. So one thing we can do is add links. Let me show you how to do that. Or let me show you what it would look like with a link. So here I've added a simple hyperlink to the article. And you notice when you click on this, it will naturally go to ASOS, which is where the link was situated. So that is a very easy way to include a link. I think aside from that, I noticed that the article reverted back to its previous form, but aside from that, that's a good place to start. That's a really good place to start. Naturally, in your byline call to action, you want to, it's pretty simple. Put your name, a little plug to the website you want to plug, and obviously he has an article source here. I would also include images. I would sprinkle images throughout this article. Let me show you what that looks like. So let's go ahead and find some images, some royalty-free images for men's running shoes. Now, if you do research here, we can use these images. However, I want to make sure, as a copywriter, you always want to make sure that your images are royalty-free. So, I actually use this software. You can create a royalty. This helps you search online. Everyone, you should have this downloaded and installed on your computer. This is one of the key pieces of software that we will be using throughout this course. So, you have royalty-free images. You create a hotkey. I am going to be searching these websites. And what you do is you highlight the text. Let's say that let's take a specific example. Let's go here. Asics Men's GT 2000. Now you highlight the text, then you press ~R on your keyboard, and you'll notice that we instantly search the entire internet, or the website selected for this running shoe. Now some websites won't catch this, others will. So quite wonderfully we can use this. Now you always want to visit the page and get the source while you're there. But let's actually go back and just use the URL, because that's really all we need. Now let me include this in the article and you'll see how much better it looks. So as you can see, I've added just a quick HTML image screen to this article, and it really adds some life to it, a bit of color. People can see what they're reading about. So, I think this is a good place to stop. I've given you guys a lot of information. I recommend that you do this as a homework assignment. If you really want to get good at being able to write fantastic blog articles, one way to do that is to do exactly what I've done here. Take what you could consider to be a poorly written article. No offense to the author, but there's many ways that you can improve this. And do just that. Practice makes perfect. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video very helpful, and I'm looking forward to reviewing your homework assignments. If you want to, post the homework assignments on the discussion section in this video. and I'll have a look, I'll review them, and I will respond via video. So you get the most amount of feedback possible. And also, stay tuned for the next lesson. We're going to be doing something similar with another type of content.